Hi guys, Adriana from Homemadebreadbyadriana here, and today I'm going to talk about different things about Levain and dried yeast. And people have some questions about it, and they would like to know the difference between a bread made with dried yeast and made with Levain. Definitely there is a difference, but for who do not know how the difference between the process, it is very easy to think they are this. To think both of dried yeast and levain they are the same. The bread made with levain is more natural in flavor, and there are more properties, there are more benefits, and it's similar like milk, yogurt, because of the lactic acid. So I can say the levain, the starter, is more natural and the flavor is unique. And there is also an acetic acid, which is a characteristic for sourdough. And on the other hand, the bread made with dried yeast do not have this sour flavor and this characteristic for to be a unique of the levain. Also, the difference between both of dried yeast and sourdough starter is the fact that sourdough has by far a better digestibility and a low glycemic index, and due to the factor that the long fermentation is vital for the final result of bread, and the yeast and lactic acid produced by sourdough starter neutralizes the effect of phytic acid, making nutrient absorption and overall digestion much easier. In summary, large chains of starches, which are comprised of simple sugars, I can say glucose, are broken down into their small parts which our gut can digest more easily and efficiently. So sourdough bread and the process of long fermentation can slow down the rate of sugar that enters in our body and make it more digestible. So depends again on the type of the bread you are going to bake. For enriched bread, it's more used for with dried yeast because of the same flavor it delivers is not sour. And for example, if I'm going to bake a brioche, a panettone, I prefer to do with dried yeast, but I'm going to use a long fermentation to make this kind of bread, okay, using dried yeast. And if I'm going to bake using sourdough starter, I can prepare brioche and enrich those with sourdough, but I have to make sure this sourdough starter is very sweet in flavor and more like milk, because I'm going to use an enriched dough, otherwise it's going to deliver a flavor which is not good for your bread, which is sour, and sour for enriched dough is not good. So think about it before baking your bread, but it's very possible to use dried yeast as long fermentation and sourdough starter to make breads. Does proofing temperatures affect your bread? I use long fermentation on both of my breads made with levain and dried yeast. What will determine if the bread will be better result is the time of fermentation. The temperature also will influence it, and not the fact that I have used dried yeast or levain. It means that if I make a long fermentation, the bulk fermentation, a correct process, and a long fermentation in the fridge, it will deliver a very nice bread, independent if I made it with dried yeast or levain, okay? Again, the long fermentation process contributes to slow down the rate of sugar to enter your body and make more digestible. That's why we have to make our bread with long fermentation. And what is necessary to make sourdough bread? First of all, I would say that the starter, it is very important element on your sourdough bread. If you do not understand your starter, you will probably make some mistakes or have some questions when baking. If you follow the process correctly, you'll be confident to make amazing breads. Follow the steps that I have posted before on how to build your levain to follow a progress of your levain.